Okay, guys. Hey, well, my name is Frankie, and I wanted to share with you guys the secrets to getting lead after lead. I mean, we're talking about ready to sell leads. We're talking about leads that are pretty much just need the right, right person lined up with them. If you're in the wholesale game, I would highly recommend that you begin to explore lead sources that work for you. Now, depending on your skill set, depending on your availability, depending on how much work and effort, or even your level of articulateness, I think that's the right word, might determine where you go with some of this, right? So I'm going to give you a couple things that really work. Um, first, I'm going to go over the things that typically are done. I'm going to share my screen over here on the other on my iPad, and I want to go over real quick um, the things the things that people typically do. Okay. Um, so we're gonna talk about lead generation, and of course we're talking about people that you're wholesaling. So if you're not familiar with what wholesaling is, just a quick summary: wholesaling is basically finding properties at a wholesale price. These are going to be typically what they call off-market properties. For those of you who already know all this, just kind of skip ahead. But these are off-market properties. What is an off-market property? A property that's not listed with a realtor, a property that's not on the MLS, right? What's the MLS? It's a multi listing service. It's a database of people that have got properties, land, buildings, commercial homes, apartments for sale. And everyone who's a realtor or a broker in the real estate that is licensed has access to that MLS, and that's across the nation. So it gives you exposure. It helps you sell your property, land, or whatever you have. And of course, it's going to be with the appropriate price based on the market. So when you're wanting to buy a property that's wholesale, you typically are going to find properties or need to find properties that are not listed on the MLS or not on the market. Okay. These are going to be the ones that are going to be more willing to let go of a property for wholesale rates. Like, for what do you mean by wholesale rates? So let's say when the property is prime, perfect, good condition, it's worth $200,000. Okay. Well, you can't buy it at that because you're trying to make money in the transaction of things, like within a quick period of time. So that's if it's in great condition, ready to move in, ready to rent out, etc. This is what we would call the ARV. Okay. After repair value. Okay. So one of the things I would uh, help you understand, or you need to understand, is what is the ARV of the potential property that you might want to put under contract, because that's going to determine a lot of things. First of all, you can't buy it at this price because there's no room to flip it. There's no room to flip the contract. There's no room to fix and flip it and make money for the cash buyer. And so what you do when you wholesale is you want to go down by at least 70% of this. Okay. So, you could probably make it work at about 130,000, possibly. I'm sorry, I put a percentage there. I think you guys get what I'm saying, but 130,000, that gives you about 70K of room. Hopefully the rehab on this is 50, no more than 60,000. Okay. So, um, again, this is actually, you know what? I'm going to tell you, that's not where you want to buy it. You probably want to buy this property a lot cheaper than that, actually. So if its ARV is 200, you probably want to be in the 85 to 90,000 mark. Why? Because you need to put your what they call assignment fee, okay, which is typically 10K or so. And then you're going to need room for the cash buyer who buys it from you and they pay you the assignment fee. The actual investor is going to, so let's just say you did buy it for 90K. Okay. Well, the investor has to see that it's worth 200. They got to see that, right? Because they're going to give you 10, which makes it 100 that they're in on this deal on. Okay. And then they're going to, they don't want to really spend more than maybe 50,000 on renovations. So now they're in total at 150. And if they can sell it for 200, then they make a profit of 50, which is probably a deal that they'll be willing to do, which means you made $10,000 for flipping that contract. So you got it for 85 to 90, no more than 100. Someone is willing to pay you an assignment fee because there's enough room for them to make money even after renovations, right? So renovations were about $50,000 and they can sell it for 200 and still make 50 themselves. And they can do that in 30 to 60 days, depending on how fast they move. Okay. So that is wholesaling, right? So when you're wholesaling, you're buying properties that are off market, that are cheap, you're getting it, but you have to know the numbers enough to know what to offer, what you can't go above, because if not, you won't be able to flip that contract and, you won't be able to make any money. The whole point is to make money, right? Eventually you want to move into the situation where you can be the investor that flips it, right? That goes in there and pays, an assignment fee plus whatever they're paying. And then you turn around and you spend the money to renovate. And you can do that through hard money lending. You can do that through another means, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But for those of you who have zero experience, for those of you who don't have a lot of money, you don't have credit, this is a way you can get into real estate. You literally are going to look for off-market properties that are going to be able to be bought at a pennies on the dollar, right? And there's a ton of them out there. Don't be fooled. Don't think that you know it all just because you don't see a lot of them driving in your neighborhood or where you live, or you don't hear about it. Does not mean that there's a ton out there. People let go of properties all day long. They come into foreclosures. They come into probate. They get inherited properties they don't want to deal with. Someone gets at an age where they don't want to fool with it anymore. They don't want to clean it up. They don't want to list it with a realtor. There's a ton of different reasons why people will let go of properties for cheap. The other thing you can do is you can also offer seller financing if they're willing to, let the property go through a seller financing. What is seller financing? A quick lesson on that, okay, is basically when the owner or seller is willing to hold the mortgage and basically lend you the money, or let's just say let you pay them monthly as if they're the bank. Okay. So for example, let's go back to this, let's say that they don't want to let go of the property for cheap. Let's say it's worth 160,000. Okay. And so they say, hey, for 10% down, which in this case would be 16K, at a 4% interest rate, which 100, I don't know what that'd be. Let's just take a guess. It'll probably be $800 or so per month, which is good, especially if it's like a 2.2 or even a 3.2. Depends on what market that's in, obviously. So your payment for this, and then it probably is going to be a short-term situation, like a 2-year term. Oh, the pen is not working here. 2-year, 3-year, 5-year term. And what happens is when this term is up, then whatever is left over is due in order for you to close on the property, or I should say take over, and the deed is yours, right? So, and what happens is you can go into a property with seller financing with just a small amount of money or a down payment, and then you can take that property and just pay the owner themselves, and it gives you a little bit of time to renovate it if you want, rent it out, refinance it, which is highly recommended, especially if you're going to hold on to it. And then when you refinance it, of course, refinancing would only be, a good idea is if you've updated it, if you've, made some improvements and the bank can see it worth more, then you would go refinance it, take the money out, and then you'd be able to pay the owner before or at the end of your term, whatever that is, 2, 3, 4, 5 years term you got. And then instead of you using a bank initially to get the property, you just the owner was willing to hold the note. If why would someone want to do that? Well, because they don't want to pay capital gains. It's a pretty secure situation that if you default and you stop paying, they keep all the money that you did pay, and it's still their property, and they can either do that all over again or they can sell it traditionally, right? So owners are very protected when it comes to that. It's not like you can run off with the property and not pay them, right? So if you stop paying it, it's going to default. So, for an owner, unless they just need that money, you got to remember they're going to pay capital gains on that money. So if they were to get the whole 160,000, they're going to have to pay some capital gains on that, which takes a chunk out, right? So some sellers are willing to do owner financing because, one, you can offer them the full price, or even maybe a little bit more, and then they get a little bit of a down payment, some money in their hand, and then they get some monthly income coming from it, especially if the property that they're selling or offering has got very little mortgage on it or no mortgage on it, and it's completely free, right? So these are the scenarios. Now, you can even flip these. Believe it or not, there's people out there who would buy these off of you if you secured it and got it under contract, so that you can flip that to them for someone who wants to do some renovation, someone who wants to, or you can keep it yourself. If you have the 16K plus closing and you're willing to go in there, let's say, for example, this $800 is really good for you, which it should be. Maybe you can rent this out for $1,500, which after taxes and insurance, maybe you're netting $300 or $400, or maybe more, depending on the situation. Maybe that becomes a good idea for you, right? I don't know. You'd have to decide what works for you. Definitely make some money. Don't make it too tight. I have a property right now that I've got under contract that I'm not going to necessarily hold. I wish I could hold it, but I'm not going to hold it myself, or I'm going to go in partnership with someone to hold it. And so I'm flipping that contract, even though it's seller financing, to someone who wants to do something with it, either hold it, fix it, or flip it. So you can do the same thing, and then you would just add on your assignment fee, which $10,000, $15,000, depending on what you want to do there. And then instead of them paying $16,000, they would pay $26,000, right? And that would be a part of the deal, right? Now, the only problem with that is that it doesn't come off the principal. So only 16,000 comes off the principal. The other 10 is a part of buying it or, acquiring the property, but that goes in your pocket. And that's a part of the assignment fee, right? So that gives you a crash course. That's kind of creative financing in a crash course. That's wholesaling. That would still be wholesaling. I don't need the $16,000 to secure that property. I just need to have it before closing, right? So maybe I give myself a 10-day, 15-day close window, depending on what the owner is willing to do. And then I find someone who's willing to take it and buy it from me. Okay. So let's talk about how do you even find these properties, right? Now, traditionally, you can do cold calling, which that's just exactly what it sounds. You can buy lists. Okay. There's different lists like, there's absentee, if I can spell right, absent owners or absent landowners or absent landlords. These are people who own property that they don't live there. Obviously, there's you can buy lists like expired listings, which that means they were on the MLS. These are pretty good lists because it's obviously someone wants to sell it, but they didn't, and it expired. Now, a lot of realtors may be going off other realtors may be going off this list as well, but that's a list. You can buy pre-foreclosure lists, okay, or foreclosure. There's a lot of different lists you can buy, right? That you can go in there to different websites. You can Google it and find lists and buy them fairly cheap. And then you can just get on the phone. You can email them. You can text them. You would have to make sure that there's skip tracing, which is basically all the information you need about that property. So you could call them, so you could text them, and try to see if they'd be interested in even offering the property or selling the property. Right now, you can do all this yourself and do that manual labor, or you can hire VAs or someone to help you go through those lists and just see who's even interested in selling, and then you take those and you kind of get on the phone with them and try to find out what they would be willing to let it go for. So you can do cold calling, you can do yard signs. Okay, you can say, the yard signs that say we buy homes, we buy houses, or whatever, and then it has the phone number. Right, you can stick those everywhere. You can do Facebook and social media and start posting everywhere, which no matter what you do, definitely do some of this. Post about you buying houses, any condition, that kind of thing. Because remember, these homes that you're going to target are homes that people just want to let go of the way they are, as is. And there's going to be some that are close to being condemned or maybe even condemned. There's going to be homes that are beat down, run down, and you got to be able to look past that and see that you have a vision for that home, or there could be a vision for the home, so that you can actually market it to someone who sees the same or similar vision, so they'll be willing to invest in it, right? So obviously the worst case scenario of a home or situation or the property that you're looking at, obviously the better the price should be, right? And then the potential, the ARV, what is it going to be? And ARVs are created through comparisons, what they call comps. So there's got to be a home within, a mile or less that, is very similar in square footage and, was recently sold in the last 6 months or so, maybe even at worst case scenario, year. And that would kind of create the price that house would go for. So if you got a 2,000 square foot home that sold for $200,000 at the same very similar square footage down the block around the corner, then if you do a couple of those, you have a couple of those that are kind of falling in that same area, 195, 210, 200, likely the property you're looking at would come in at about 200 as well. Right, so that's where you would create an ARV, knowing where the house would go for, right? It's not just some pie in the sky. It's something that literally has some comparisons and some precedents, if you will, of what that home would be worth, right? Then that's where you would set the how much is the renovation, right? And there's all kinds of different formulas and ways to do that, and I'm not going to get into that right this second. But my point is that you got to figure out a great ballpark or a close ballpark of what renovations will be. You can do it per room, per bathroom, per the kitchen. You can do it however you want to do it. At the end of the day, most homes in these situations that you're going to grab need renovations. Okay, now it doesn't mean you're going to do it. It just means that you need to calculate that so you know what to buy the home for. So for example, if it's going to be worth 200 at repaired cost after everything's done, you can't buy it at 200. You gotta, and then let's just say it takes $50,000 to get it there. Well, you can't even buy it at 150 because there's no room to make money even after that. So you need to buy it at no more than $100,000 because you have your fee plus another 50, which takes it to 160. So there's about $40,000 of profit potentially there. And, someone will likely bite on that so they can make that $40,000, right? But if there's no margin there, you're not going to get someone buying it, right? So in most cases, right, unless you just want to buy it for a rental reason, which even then people want to buy it at where there's some margin, right? So just be smart with your offers. Don't offer too much, and that's what people do. It's easy to get offered. It's easy to get a contract when you offer too much, but when you offer the right price, then and they accept it, then you can pretty much you can shop this, you can post it online, you can say, hey, I got this deal. I'm looking for a $10,000 assignment fee plus I bought it for 100,000, so they know they need to do 110 total plus closing. And so that's the kind of thing you can go for, right? Hopefully this is making sense to you. This is wholesaling. I'm going over it kind of sporadically, but my point is going back to lead generation. How do you even find these homes? How do you find these deals? What do you do? Okay. Another thing you can do is what they call driving for dollars. Okay. That basically means you get in your car And as you go through neighborhoods, you're looking for potential properties that could be properties that definitely would, fall in the criteria of not wanting to be listed, cleaned up, or renovated, and they just want to get rid of it the way it is, right? So then what you would do is you'd write down the address or the information, look it up, and try to find the owner or who owns the property, and reach out to them and say, "Hey, I saw the property there." I mean, people make money doing this by driving through neighborhoods every day and looking for properties, knocking on doors every now and then. You literally don't have to knock on doors, but if you're driving, you find a property that's abandoned, has boarded up windows, maybe have a big yard, growed up with grass, newspapers piling up, that might be a great opportunity to try to get that home, right? Put it under contract again, go buy it for the right price. So you got cold calling, text messaging, buying list, yard signs. You have Facebook and social media, driving for dollars, right? You have traditional networking and just telling people that this is what you're doing. You're buying homes, okay? And this is what I would tell you, just as a tip, especially on social media, right? You are not a wholesaler to the rest of the world. You are a real estate investor. And that's the mindset you need to have. Even if you're not actually buying these properties, you have to still act as if, right? So in other words, you're a real estate investor. There's nothing wrong with saying you're a real estate investor, even if you're only wholesaling, because you're literally dealing with real estate and investing in real estate. And yes, maybe you're, finding in buyers or cash buyers or investors, but you're still in the game of real estate investing. So there's nothing wrong with calling yourself a real estate investor. Matter of fact, I would come out of the gates calling yourself a real estate investor from the very beginning, even if you've never done a deal, because the posture, the attitude, the confidence that you have is going to, create the kind of response you get, the kind of, attraction that you get from this, right? So if you go in there and you're like, well, I just wholesale this property or just put it under contract, I'm looking for an assignment fee. Don't get into all that, especially to the rest of the world. Now, if we're talking, though, that makes sense, right? If we're talking amongst ourselves in the group or other investors or wholesalers, then that's fine. But if you're talking to the rest of the world and you're shopping a property, you're like trying to find investors that might want to be end buyers, or if you're telling the rest of the world that you're interested in homes that they might want to get rid of, you don't want to call yourself a wholesaler or anything else besides a real estate investor, right? Introduce yourself on social media. Maybe you've been known for a certain thing for a long time. For example, I've done solar sales for the last 6-7 years. And so, introducing myself now as doing real estate investing is what I had to do, right? So, and I have slowly done that over time. So, excuse me, got the hiccups a little bit. So, if you have been known for a certain thing, especially on your social media, just give people some backstory of why you got into this, why you get started, you're starting to really get into more and more real estate investing. If anyone has a property or knows someone has a property they want to just get rid of, and just position yourself as the one who buys it, right? Position yourself. Now, when it gets down to the bottom line, you don't have to let people know that you're assigning it, right? You could, you might want to do that at some point, but not up front, right? Because you don't want to give people any less confidence in you. The confidence that they have in you is going to determine whether they even believe that you can get to closing, if you're even going to be able to buy this property. And you just have to carry that confidence, right? So some people struggle with that because they're not the actual one buying it. But listen, buyers out there don't have time to find these properties. That's why this niche or this opportunity is pretty awesome, because they are busy doing what they're doing. And for you to bring them a deal that they don't have to hunt for, they're more willing to pay that assignment fee, $10,000 or more, for a deal that makes sense, right? So don't be ashamed or shy about that part of it. But I definitely wouldn't advertise yourself as just a wholesaler. I would advertise yourself as a real estate investor. And at some point, maybe down the road, you will actually be using your own money, or even, getting money from hard money lenders or private money in doing your own flips and maybe even doing your own rentals, right? I don't know why it's saying I only have 10 minutes left when I have a pro account. Anyways, so I guess I got to wrap this up. 10 more minutes to wrap this up. So guys, again, going over this, these are the typical ways that you would go about getting leads, right? You know, now I'm going to talk to you real quick with only less than 10 minutes left about this, some secret sauce, okay, of how you could get ahead of the game and really find some leads that are hot and ready, right? I'm just going to call them hot and ready, just like Little Caesar's Pizza, or whatever you call it, right? And this is what I'm going to tell you. You got to be creative and think outside the box. And this has to do with realtors, okay? Not every realtor will be right for what I'm about to tell you, but there's going to be some that are. And that's where you need to put your name out there and start making phone calls, start making a connection, especially using social media. So there's going to be realtors out there who do specialize or have off-market properties. Okay. Not every realtor, especially new ones, people that don't have a lot of experience in real estate, may not even know how to handle you or how to deal with you, right? But as you begin to connect with realtors, just let them know you're a real estate investor. You're looking for off-market properties. If you ever come across one, please keep me in mind. I'd love to work with you and make sure that you're taken care of. And what that means is you're likely going to make sure they get a fee out of it as well if that's the situation they need, right? Realtors want to get paid for the work, right? So just let them know that you're willing to do that. And you don't have to get into the details because every deal will be different, but you do want to let them know that you're willing to do that. You look out for people that work with you and partner with you, and you can consider them a partner and even tell them that you would love to partner with them. So if a realtor is someone who comes across off-market properties, knows of off-market properties, or even special, there's some that specialize in it, they should keep you in mind because you listen, a realtor, a smart one anyways, would love to get paid quicker because most of these closings are going to happen in 10 to 15 days or less, right? We're not talking about a whole 30 days trying to get a mortgage, trying to get, borrow money, trying to do inspections and all that. Most of these deals that we do close pretty quickly, which means a realtor gets paid faster. Okay. And then they may not be paid as much because the price is probably cheaper or whatever, but sometimes they need to make quicker money. And that is, the reason why they would even entertain dealing with off market. The other thing is that they don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of dressing up the property, marketing the property. They don't have to do the whole deal. And so that can be appealing to them as well. So there's less work involved and they're just getting that property, letting you know what it's about, maybe doing some negotiating with you or for you, back and forth from the seller. And then all of a sudden that you have more leads. So I'm going to tell you, this is one of the secrets to getting leads that are hot and ready. These are leads that are people that are wanting to sell their properties, is through realtors, believe it or not. Now, the closing, you're going to probably want to learn how to do that. I'm not going to get into that now because my time is running out, but it still can be done. You can still make it an assignment fee. The realtor can even make a fee as well, depending on the deal, as long as it makes sense financially. The realtor could get paid on the seller side when they close, when the closing happens, or you can, kick them in a fee as well, right? And you always want to take care of your realtor, especially if they're bringing you opportunities. Like literally the handful of realtors I work with are bringing me deals each and every day. Like every day, there's off-market opportunities and properties every day that they're bringing to me. Now, how do you find these realtors? Well, you can find them one or two ways, right? So I'm going to get into that real quick. You can go to Zillow.com or any other website that pulls from the MLS. Zillow pulls data from the MLS, and you can go look for older listings. Okay. 60, 90, I think they might even have 80, 60, 80, 90-day listings, those that have been on there for a while and they did not sell. And you can reach out to the realtor if there is one and find, see if they'd be willing to work with you, or if they ever, work with off-market properties. Some of these listings that you will find are going to be deals you might be able to get, and some of them might just be opportunities where you connect with that realtor, and then when they come across something in the future, they'll keep you in mind, right? The other thing too is realtors are good for even getting you buyers, right? So especially those that are working in the off-market, areas, and they get properties all the time. Some of them know investors and cash buyers. The other thing too is that you can even search, buy owner properties on Zillow, realtor.com, Redfin, and etc. Right. So just go on the website and you can literally do searches and filter those out based on where you want to search. And you can find buy owners, and you can also find older listings. All right. Then you can do Facebook posts, and you can go into Facebook groups, and you can literally let people know that you're a real estate investor looking to work with realtors that specialize in off-market properties. You can literally make that post. Again, remember, social media is important. So you're looking to work with, you're a real estate investor looking to work with realtors who specialize in off-market properties. Or you could say, or, work with or work along with off-market properties. However you want to word that, it just needs to hit those targets, right? You need to tell them who you are, what you do, and then who you're looking for, and what category of those realtors, because there's realtors that specialize in commercial and residential. There's realtors that specialize in high-end real estate and residential and low-end. There's all kinds of different realtors. So what you want to do is let them know what you're looking for. And if you post this in different Facebook groups, business communities, etc., you will get people that are realtors that give you their email and want to connect. You can call them, introduce yourself, and have a small chat. And then you can literally begin to see some of the leads come in, right? Now, these leads can be a little bit different, as far as, if you find someone and you call them and they just, they're like, yeah, I'll let go of the property for that price. You're probably going to make more money by cold calling, but you also have to do a lot more work. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, this strategy is working very well, where there's literally deal after deal coming my way every day. And I'm just going to tell you, look, people don't necessarily want to approach realtors because they're like, realtors don't really like wholesalers, and some of them don't, right? But there's realtors out there who are literally trying to make dollars, right? Especially with the market, the way it's shifted. There was some data that's out there that says a lot of realtors have now, left. I think it was like 60,000 realtors. Maybe it was 600,000. I don't know. But according to that article or that information, it was made to believe that a lot of realtors had jumped ship, right? Anyways, so guys, I hope this is helpful. I'm coming down to my last minute here. I hope this is helpful for you guys, because I'm telling you, the name of the game of finding properties that you can get your hands on, get under contract, flip the contract, or even flip yourself and get a hard money loan and make money in real estate, is finding leads, finding properties. So, and realtors are out there hustling every day, especially good ones, right? They're going out there, they're finding properties, they're dealing with people. Not every realtor is a hustler. Not some realtors are lazy, but if you got someone who's trying to make money, they're hungry, you're going to find them, right? So we're coming down to our last minute or two, guys. This video is recorded for your benefit. And so let me go back here real quick and stop the share. But anyways, appreciate you guys taking this time in literally watching this recording. Let's connect. I'm here to help. We can JV on the deal, we can joint venture on the deal, and we can split the assignment fee if you need help. If you need help someone bringing a cash buyer, if you need help structuring a deal, if you need help even with some of these steps, we are here. We're not going to charge you for this. This training is free, and everything we do is free. We'll just hope to make money together in some way, shape, or form. We want you all to be blessed and make as much money as you can and find financial freedom. We believe God has put this group together so that you can do just that. Find the way to make money, to be free and fulfill your God-given purpose. Appreciate you guys coming on. We'll see you next time.